everyone, it's Lisa. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to make a card with this new die set. This is the Rainbow Fold It from the Stamps of Life. It makes an A2 size card shaped like a rainbow. And it has so many fun pieces included in this set, and I'm going to get to all of that in just a minute. And we are going to be making a card with this today. So before we get started with this card tutorial, go ahead and click that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and make sure you turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video. So this Rainbow Fold It, it is a die with several pieces. So it has this large piece, which would be your shadow layer, or this would be the piece that would make your card base. And I'm going to show you all of that today. It also has this layering piece, so you can use these two together if you wanted just to make your rainbow pretty simple and just use pattern paper or different color cardstock to create each one of these curves in the rainbow. You can just use these two dies. But this die has more than just this. It has all of these fun insert pieces that if you wanted to make a pattern on your rainbow, you have the option of doing that as well. So this large die is stripes. So if you wanted to have that large curve in the rainbow to have stripes in it, you can insert this die. And how these would work is you would just insert it just like that, die cut your paper, and then you would have the piece that is inserted in that top curve. You also have this die, which is for that next curve in the rainbow, and these are dots. Isn't that fun? And then you have this next die. They're not complete circles, they're more like an oval shape with an opening, so it's kind of like dots with an oval shape. And then this centerpiece is stars, so you can have stars in your centerpiece. And then there's a couple other stars that you can use for die cuts on your rainbow. So we're gonna make a card with this today, and I'm gonna show you how to use it with all of these fun drop-ins. So as I said, you have the option of using the drop-ins. You don't have to use the drop-ins. That is up to you. But we're going to use the drop-ins in my card today. So one thing I want to show you is that this die, when you cut this out, just putting this on your cardstock and running it through your die cut machine, it will cut out each one of these pieces individually. So if you wanted to use pattern paper, for example, you can take this die, run it through your pattern paper. You might want to use different color pattern paper or the same, it's really up to you. And it will give you each one of these, and you can piece in the different colors that you want to use. And then you can make that your rainbow with just using solid color cardstock or pattern paper. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually take these dies. So I have some paper here that I picked out. So I have the cherry cardstock from the Stamps of Life, the lemonade cardstock, and the sea glass, and the pixie cardstock. So technically, if I just wanted to have solid colors, I can just take this die and lay it like that and run that through my die cut machine. But nope, I'm going to use these drop-ins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do each one of these cardstock pieces separately. So I'm going to have to run this through my die cut machine 4 different times. Let me move this out of the way. So I cut the larger piece in the cherry because I want that to be the outside curve. I'm going to take this die and I'm going to drop that in, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine just like this. So when that comes out of the die cut machine, this is what it gives you, and you can see those little line patterns on that cardstock. So I'm going to set that aside, set this die aside, and I'm going to move on to the next one. So here I have my polka dot. I'm going to use my yellow cardstock, the lemonade cardstock. I'm going to lay this die directly on top of that cardstock, drop that in, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. So here are the fun polka dots that piece gives. So I'm going to set those 2 pieces aside, move on to the next piece, which I'm going to cut out of the sea glass cardstock. I'm going to pop that in and run that through my die cut machine. So here is what that middle piece looks like. You can see those fun dots on there. So I'm going to set those pieces aside, and I'm on my last piece, which I'm going to die cut out of the pixie, which is the light purple cardstock. So I'm gonna drop that star die in right like that and run that through my die cut machine. And here is that die up close. You can see the stars in that paper, how pretty that is. So I'm gonna set those dies aside and I'm gonna pull out all of my cuts, and you can see how these would be layered. Look at those fun patterns. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that. So next what I'm gonna do is I am going to just ink up the edges of the cardstock. So with the sea glass piece, I did ink it up with the ocean ink, which is a little bit darker than the sea glass ink, but I just wanted to have a little bit of that contrast on there. I'm going to use the cherry ink to ink up the edges of the cherry cardstock. And this just adds for some extra texture, some extra dimension. You do not have to do this step. I just like to do it to my cardstock just for that added dimension. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through here and do all of these, and then we'll finish putting this rainbow together. All right, so I then have taken this large die, which is my shadow layer, and die cut a piece of the white cardstock, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add glue and add each one of these pieces, starting with the outside edge first, and then adding the middle pieces all the way to the center. And look how pretty that is. So you can customize it with any color cardstock you want. So I went with more of a pastel look, but if you like the more bright color look, you can go with some brighter colors, but I think that is so pretty. So I'm gonna take this a little step further. I wanna add a sun to my rainbow. So I've already die cut the sun. This is the sun that I use. This is from the Summer for Fun set, which is a stamp and die set, and I just use the dies. And I have the dies cut out of the banana, which is the shadow, and then the sunshine, which is a little bit darker yellow than what I used in my card. Let me just bring this up. I know I just totally messed that up, but that's okay because I'm gonna tuck that piece under and you'll never be able to notice it. I just wanted to make sure all these little lines were lined up correctly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some ink and just ink up the edges. I have my lemonade ink out, which I don't know if that's gonna do anything. Oh yeah, it does. You can actually see some ink on the edges there. I didn't want to have to dig for the other, but we'll just ink up some of the edges there. And then that part that I messed up, that will be tucked behind. So this sun is just going to be tucked behind just like this. Isn't that going to be adorable? Now, remember, this is going to fit in an A2 size envelope, but if you just want to be certain, I did take an envelope out. So here's my A2 size envelope. And if you just position this rainbow with the sun on your envelope, that'll kind of give you an idea of how far to tuck this behind, because if you still want this to fit in an envelope, you want to make sure that you tuck it in far enough. So that looks like about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a pencil. I'm just going to draw a line there, and that is going to tell me that I need to put glue on everything past that line. So I'm going to go ahead and add glue, and this is going to adhere to my card or to my rainbow. So just add it there right behind. So I'm just tucking that in. Notice I have not put this on a card base yet. Okay, it's still going to go on a card base, but now we're going to be able to add this to a card base, and then that will still fit in an envelope. Isn't that cute? So next I took this rainbow die. This corresponds to the Rainbow to Stamp set. And I just die cut the clouds out of some white cardstock. And I stamped on here, "You are my" and "Sunshine." And I wanted to see if this stamp set had something small enough that I could put inside of these clouds, but the only thing would have been "Hi" and "Thank you," and I didn't want to use those stamps. Everything else was bigger, and I didn't want to use such a big stamp because I didn't want to have to cut out a larger piece of cardstock, and because I didn't want to take away from all of that decoration. So what I've done is I decided to go ahead and just stamp in "You Are My Sunshine," and that stamp is from the Summer for Fun set. So here's "You Are" and then "My Sunshine." And I'm gonna go ahead and ink up the edges. I'm gonna use my ocean ink, just wanna add some color to the edges of these clouds. And I'm choosing to use the ocean because it's in the same color scheme as the rest of the card. Now, if you wanted to use a gray color, you can totally do that, but I didn't want to use gray. So here I was thinking I can add these to the bottom. They are a little short, but that's okay. I'm in size because remember, these cloud dies are meant to go with this smaller rainbow. So I wanted to add them to the bottom like this, but they're a little short. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I can just add them a little bit higher like this. And I think I might like that. So I think I'm gonna do that. And it doesn't take away from too much of that decoration. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these with some glue. And look how cute that is. I love that. So now I can just add this to a card base. So to make my card base, I'm going to take a piece of regular size cardstock. This is 8.5 by 11. I'm going to fold it, give it a good press. I'm going to take this largest die in the set, and you can decide if you want to place your fold or have your card open at the top or on the side. So if you want your card to open at the top, you would place the die slightly above the fold in the cardstock. And if you want it to open from the side, you would place your die slightly to the left of the fold in the cardstock. So I'm gonna have mine open on the left side. So I'm gonna take a piece of washi tape and just tape this down, run that through my die cutting machine. So when that comes out of the die cutting machine, this is the card base, and you can see that it opens on the side. You can also see that it cuts off the side of that rainbow, and that's why you're going to add this directly to the top, which will then give you your full rainbow. Isn't that adorable? I just love these folded cards. They just make for such quick and easy cards. So if you ever run out of card ideas, you can pull out a folded card because everything you need to make the card is included. You just need a die cutting machine, right? But all the dies to make the actual card are in it. And then you can just add extra stamps or dies from your stash to decorate the front if you wanted to do that, just like I did by adding the sun and the clouds. That is so pretty. I love this. So just press that down and look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So when you open it up, you can then write your message on the inside. You can see how I tucked that sun behind there. So again, when you're just tucking a die cut behind one of these fold-its, just put it on the actual layer you decorate and then add it to your card base, and there is your card. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.